Matt and Leah, 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 Matt and Leah. Pancake, 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 pancake. Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah. Pancake, 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 pancake. Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah. A pancake.
What is up, boys and girls and everything in between? Let me try that
You
again.
are right there.
What is up, boys and girls and everything in between? This is Bear With Us. I am Matt. That is Pancake. She is Leah. Leah, how are you, my dear?
Oh my God, this is the first time doing like a proper introduction with Pancake. If you're on YouTube right now, you have to look at this cuteness. I mean, come on. I don't know how Matt can hate this dog. He's just the cutest. Look at him. He knows where the microphone is. He knows where the camera is. He's working his angles.
I was born with an innate ability to hate anything that wakes me up against my will on a regular basis, such as our dog.
Well, look at him right now.
Oh, yeah, he's
is being
adorable.
so
He's cute as
sweet.
hell. That's the only reason I haven't stomped him into oblivion.
Look at him. Do you love your daddy? Look at him. He's staring at you. He loves you. He's happy. He's finally part of the podcast. The podcast.
It's going to be one of those weeks.
Babe, how are you?
I am
Let me ask you.
exhausted. I just haven't been able to get out of the gates today. I
Why?
slept well last night. I got up and worked this morning, went to the gym. I was somewhat productive as regular standards
Yeah.
go, but I don't know. I just don't have it in me today. I'm just feeling a
Sometimes,
little.
well, you know why? It's rainy out here in Pittsburgh. It's dark. It's like giving a little glimpse of what we have to expect come winter. Ugh, that's what it's going to be like.
Your dog is actively trying to drink your wine. You realize that?
He's a dog after my own heart. He loves wine just like his mommy. But you can't drink wine.
I can't wait till you get puppy cirrhosis.
What's that?
Nothing.
That's awful. We had a good week, I would say.
It was a great week.
What's happened? We went floating down the river with the kids on Sunday. That was so fun.
Yeah.
If you live in the Pittsburgh area, what is it called?
Place called the River's Edge.
River's Edge.
Yeah, they basically put you in a van, drive you up the river several miles, and put you in an inner tube and let you float back home. And it doesn't sound exciting because it's not exciting. It is just simply the most relaxing way to waste an afternoon on the river in the sunshine with a little beverage cooler.
Yeah, it was
to keep you
fun.
occupied. We had a great time.
It's like a proper lazy river. It's an actual
It's
river.
an actual river. Yes.
It's so fun. And we took the kids and we thought maybe they were going to be like, I'm bored. But they actually really enjoyed it. So
They
if you have
had-
kids, bring the kids along too.
That's one step closer to me morphing into full-blown Davy Crockett. I'm going to be like an outdoorsman. I'm going to start cutting things down. I
What are you going to cut down?
Vines, perhaps.
Vines. Where are you going to find these vines?
We're going to have a house. There's going to
We
be
are gonna
vines.
have a house
There's going to be
soon.
vines on the side of the
I'm
house.
so excited. We're not putting vines on the side of our
No,
house.
no. We're not going to put them there, but they just kind of occur.
Oh, they're going to be there just so you can cut them down.
Right.
Okay, I love that. You're an outdoorsman now.
That's right.
We're going from city folk to country folk.
I'm basically
real
a
quick.
lumberjack because I'm going to have a backyard again.
I love that. Oh no, I was gonna you jackhammer me, but that's a lot different
Wow.
than lumberjack. I was gonna say, can you lumberjack me? No, that took a turn. I know. We just
Short
took a
answer is
shower,
yes.
and oh my god, I'm still kind of like buzzing, little post-coital bliss, as you like to call it.
PCB.
I love that.
The good news is we're not going to get into an argument on the
No,
podcast
but
this week.
before we go into the meat and potatoes of today's podcast, I was thinking of something that I really wanted to pull, especially the female audience listening at home. Now, I don't know if this is something men do as well, but I was thinking about this last night because it was something that happened yesterday with Matt and I was just curious because I don't think I'm alone on this. So yesterday, Matt was in such a lovey-dovey mood. He was just, I mean, he self-admitted,
Keep trying. You can do it. Go for it. Believe in yourself.
He admits that he is needy, right? How would I say that?
Yes, I would
You're
say that
self-admittedly?
Yes, self-admittedly needy.
Okay. All right. Then I was going the right way. I just get so nervous sometimes when speaking around you because I'm like, oh my God, I can't up because you're like the grammar police.
I'm a cunning linguist.
You're something all right. However, look at Pancake, by the way. He is just part of the conversation. He's loving this. Um, so he was very needy yesterday. And like he got home from work, he flew home yesterday morning, and he was just like so lovey-dovey. And for whatever reason, I just was not feeling lovey-dovey.
At all.
I was just feeling like I kind of wanted to be difficult.
Confrontational AF.
Confrontational. Like there was nothing that happened. We were getting along great. Everything was fine.
Most importantly, I did nothing wrong.
Nothing. You did nothing
I
wrong.
went to work, had a good time at work, didn't complain, just did my thing. Got home in a pretty decent mood on Tuesday morning, relatively well rested and excited for the day with my beloved.
Right. And I just was like not feeling lovey dovey. You know, most of the time when you come home, I'm like so looking forward to Tuesdays because I'm like, oh, we're going to go on a date. We're going to have all the dirty sex, do all of the things. And like I was still feeling that yesterday, but I was just kind of like wanted to be difficult. And I was just everything he said, I was kind of like combating. I was just going against everything he said. Not in like a bitchy way, but just sort of not in a bitchy way. I wasn't being a bitch.
You weren't being extremely over the top, sort of angry. Like
No.
you weren't trying to start a fight. The best I could describe it is the way you did. You were just being very difficult.
Yes.
There was nothing that
For
I
no
could say
reason.
to you that would result in a response that was friendly or lovey-dovey or nice. It was just all, well, I don't want to do that. I don't. You were in the most contrarian mood I think I've
Yes.
ever seen you in.
Yeah, and like there was no reason other than I was kind of bored and I was like I just kind of want to not pick a fight cuz I did not want to fight at all, but I just kind of wanted to like test the limits a little bit and kind of see what I could get away with type thing. And there were, I said to you last night we went to bed, we ended up having a great day and night. We went to bed and I was like yeah, I guess I was just bored today. I just wanted to try something different and just try to like just see
Some
where
people
it went.
try new meals, different fashion options. Leah tries on personalities.
Just I was bored. I just wanted to like switch things up a little bit and we didn't fight. Everything went well, thank goodness. But I don't know. I'm just curious if other women listening or maybe men listening do this sometimes just because you're bored. And it kind of brings me to the whole like playing games, right? Like it's not fun to play games with your partner, especially when you're in a relationship. And I'm not talking about like Scrabble or categories, but I'm talking about like, you know, if you're just kind of like trying to pick a fight or you're being a certain way on purpose. And to me, I fucking hate games. I hate playing games in relationships. Like just tell me what you want, tell me what you're thinking. Let's not beat around the bush here. But that's kind of what it felt like yesterday. I was just trying to like be a little très difficile. That's French for very difficult. So again, I speak four languages. And I just need to remind you of that. But so yeah, anyone listening, send me a little email, send me a little DM or comment. I'm going to make a little post on Instagram because I really want to know your thoughts. If you do this or if you know of someone that does this, this isn't something I regularly do. This is probably like the first time I've ever done this just because I was just kind of bored. I just wanted to pick a fight for no reason. For a lack of a better word.
See, guys, sometimes it does happen. Anybody listening that has ever had to suffer through a day like I did yesterday with their female other half, or heck, maybe even their male other half, it sucks, it's weird, and it's a choice that you made to not be receptive to my attempts at romance / lovey-doveyness.
But sometimes you're just too needy. Sometimes you're just too like, and at first I wasn't even doing it on purpose. When I got home from the gym, you were already home. So, and I left you this cute little card. Did I
Right.
not? Like, cause I,
Right, which also amplified my expectations.
Right.
Because I came home to a very sweet card on the counter, like a just because very nice card that was addressed to, we'll get into that later. But I was like, oh, okay, she's feeling really good today. I'm
Yeah.
home. I feel good. We're going to have an amazing day. And then within 45 seconds of you walking in the door, my illusions were shattered.
Okay, but I wasn't doing it on purpose at first. At first, I just got home from the gym. I was exhausted. I was tired. I was hungry. I needed to eat. And you kept like, you were all over me in the kitchen. I was just like, leave me the alone for like 5 minutes. I just want to like do my thing for a few minutes. And it wasn't anything against you. So then it got to the point where I was like, okay, now I'm just gonna like be resistant on purpose because you were like, because this is what set me off. This right here is what set me off. You go, babe, can you just love me? And I was like, off. Like, of course I love you. I left you this cute card. As soon as I came home, I gave you a kiss, told you I loved you. I just was like, that to me was like, ew, okay. So I just started being a brat. But here we are. We made it through.
But had I called you on being a brat, it would have somehow been my fault that you were being a brat.
Off. No, I would have admitted it because I said it. I'm readily admitting it right now, and I did last night as well.
Okay, well, I am going to try to set you up for another admission of sorts.
Oh, just me admitting things.
An additional admission of guilt. And I've got a bit of evidence with me, courtesy of one of our valued listeners, Miss Samantha, who just wrote us a nice email to the bearwithuspod@gmail.com mailbag. Doesn't have to be
mailbag.
No.
This is not the mailbag right now, by the way. This is, I just didn't want people to get confused.
Baby, I'd like to think that at least most of our listenership has the ability
Because I didn't
to
sing
differentiate.
the song. I didn't sing the song yet.
Well, thank God that it's not Bear With Us mailbag time, because we would have been deprived of Leah's vocal stylings. This is from Samantha, who wrote an email that was not a question for us. It was just titled, "Thank you for being real." She said, "Matt and Leah, I'm listening to your August 5th podcast. I just want to say thank you. I felt like I was listening to me and my spouse talk, and it felt good to know others go through the same. I'm in college athletics, so my schedule is absolutely insane. My husband is my biggest supporter, but he's also the most annoyed when it comes to my schedule. However, I can't help it. I love the hustle of my job, and all I see is the end prize of my future. Leah, thank you for reminding me that the hustle is worth it. Hearing the frustration in your voice made me tear up with how much I totally understand you. And Matt, you're not alone. My husband feels what you are feeling every day. Thanks for giving people real insight, Sam." And that was our goal from day one. Once we decided this was going to be a regular thing, a real podcast, we have tried to be as real as possible with you. Granted, everybody's lives are different. No two couples' situations are identical. But when we come at you with advice or tell you stories, it's reality, man. I mean, we promised that from the outset. So I'm glad, scars and all, people are enjoying our episodes, including last week.
Well, last week I think was a real I don't know, sort of game changer because we could have easily gone back and we thought about going back and re-recording and redoing it all because we got into a legitimate real fucking fight. You know, sometimes we kind of play things up here and we kind of go back and forth on certain things, but that was legitimate. That was real. There's nothing about that I mean, that would have been the same conversation whether we're doing this in the microphones or not.
Right.
And there was even a point where you were like, just stop talking. You were like, well, I'm done. Like, and I had to pull you out of it. I had to like kind of retract a little bit and be like, no, wait a minute, we have to keep going. But we got a lot of response in like your comments, your emails, their DMs, everything. Really means so much because it feels like, okay, we know we're not alone. Because sometimes we're like, like, are we going about things the right way? We don't know. We're just kind of winging this as we go.
I try my best to remind people as frequently as possible that we have absolutely no business offering anybody advice of any sort, completely unqualified to do so. It's just as much for our entertainment as it is yours. But, you know, hopefully we're helping some people along the way. Pancake is raising all sorts of hell back here.
No, but I think upon reflecting after that episode, because again, it got very heated. You know, I think it's important to kind of go back and I read all of your comments on social media, all of the comments on our YouTube channel. If you don't watch the YouTube, I would highly recommend going and watching that one because you can see on our the things you can't hear necessarily on the podcast, you can see in our facials from that last episode. But I appreciate all of the feedback and I think you know, sometimes it's humbling to be doing something like this and kind of like putting ourselves out there and at the risk of looking or sounding like an idiot or selfish or not being a good partner, and that's kind of what we're doing every single week. But watch, like, listening back to last week's episode, like I definitely want to apologize and take ownership for cutting you off and for just not listening to what you're saying. So this is what I learned in therapy. So I've been going to a therapist for most of this year, and I don't think there's anything wrong with therapy. There wasn't a specific reason why I started going to therapy. I just kind of was at a place where I felt like I want to continue to work on myself and grow and figure out why I am the way I am, why I do things the way I do. And I feel like I've just learned so much about myself and about how I am as a person in a relationship, whether it's with you or my family or my friends. Um, and I've learned a lot. So my therapist was like if I tell her about a fight that we've had, she goes, "Well, when he said that, what did you hear? Not like what did he say? It's what did you hear?" And so for me, like that's something that I need to definitely get better at is being self-aware that like but everyone does it. When you hear someone say something, you don't necessarily hear what they're saying.
Well, everyone lives life through their own perception, no
Right.
matter what that is.
Right.
Everything is as you see it, as you take it in, and all you can do is try to be open to the reality of the situation. But if you're feeling a certain way, you're already likely to mishear or misinterpret things
Yeah.
despite what the intent
Rather
was.
than what exactly. So when you said that last week, all I heard was, "Oh, well, my uh side business is not important because it's not like an structured job and I'm not necessarily making a structured income on it." So for me, I like went into like defense mode, of course. So I didn't let you say what you had to say. I like cut you off. So I definitely am trying to work on that. I know I interrupt. I interrupt so much. I get it from my dad. When I talk to my dad, it drives me nuts. Like I get so annoyed. So I can only imagine how you feel dealing with me on that. But I do think it's important to be real with yourself. And I think anyone listening, you can't just think, "Oh, I'm perfect. I know it all. I have all the answers." Like it's okay to have some humility and it's okay to know when you're wrong and acknowledge it and learn from it. So now I'm looking at you, boy.
Looking at me for
I don't know, a little bit of an apology, a little bit of some ownership, a little bit of something, or am I the only one that's ever wrong in the situation?
you just admitted to misinterpreting and not letting me say
Right.
my
But
piece
so you think
because
how
when I
you
said
acted
my
last week is
piece,
perfect
when
and you
I
don't have
said
anything to say?
when I said my piece, we completed the conversation, and by the end of it, we weren't mad at each other anymore. In fact, we had quite a lovely night by the time that the recording session ended. So think, can I just hang my hat on a victory? Can I just get a W?
No. Here's the thing. So a lot of times when it comes to us arguing, right? What I do is even if I don't agree with you, I try to listen to where you're coming from. And I, a lot of times, retract when I'm done with the interrupting and all that. I say, "Yes, okay, I understand how you're feeling. Yes, yes, yes." But I don't know if you necessarily do that on my end.
I accept your apology and I understand why
Babe,
you feel flawed.
this is why it's so difficult to be in a relationship
What
with
did
you.
I do wrong?
Like,
What am I apologizing
why?
for?
Like, okay, I'm acknowledging that what I did
Great
was
was
wrong.
right.
And you think how you acted was perfect.
Because you cut me off. If you didn't cut me off and let me speak my piece, we wouldn't have got into an argument.
Babe.
You just admitted as much.
Right. But I'm just saying how you acted was not perfect either.
I was pissed off because you cut me off because I was trying to tell my point of view and you wouldn't allow me to get that out.
Okay. So when it comes to us and when we have arguments and argue or disagree, you're perfect. Is
No,
what
no,
I'm
no,
saying. So
no.
what I'm asking you
I
to do is try
apologize
to
to you for that I don't even do.
What?
I apologize so much.
Babe,
So
no,
much.
you do not. Okay, so you even said so last week after the end of our episode, we went out with our friends Aaron and Danielle. We hung out, had a few drinks, and you were like, you said something about I said you never apologize, and you said I apologize to you more than I've ever apologized to anyone in the past. Oh wow, so now all of a sudden I'm supposed to be so grateful for that? No, I'm not. I don't care about what you've done in your past. You apologize to me more than you've apologized to past partners. But that doesn't necessarily mean you apologize all the time. You don't. You to get an apology from you is very difficult.
Because I'm very rarely wrong.
Oh my God.
I'm
Do you
still.
understand how pompous you sound?
No, it's not
Yes,
pompous
it
at
is
all.
pompous.
It is not.
Babe, come on.
Listen to me. Show me in any capacity the error of my ways last week.
I'm not necessarily talking about last week. I'm saying in general, when it comes to arguing, I'm acknowledging what happened last week. And I can do that when we fight. I know that I can cut you off and interrupt. And I apologize for that. And I'm trying to work on it. And last week, listening back to it, I really was like cringing at myself. So I'm like, shit, I really have been trying to work on this. And then I just kind of went back to my old ways. And I'm apologizing for that. So I'm talking
Okay.
to you about when.
So what am I supposed to apologize
Just
for?
no, I'm not saying you have to apologize. I was more joking about that before, but I'm saying when we fight, when we argue,
Yeah.
is there anything you think you could work on and be better at?
And we
in
talk about it all the time. In
general?
general, now if we're speaking in generalities, it's a whole different conversation.
That's what I'm
because
trying
this
to get at, in
conversation began
general.
about last week,
Right.
and that was what you were apologizing
Right.
for.
But I'm saying in general,
Okay.
I do understand that I can cut you off. And watching that back last week, I was like, oh my God, why am I not learning? I need to get better at that. And I'm asking you if there's anything you feel like you need to get better at when we argue.
And we talk about it all the time. I'm a dirty fighter. But last week was not an example of that. I did not fire an insult or take a cheap shot, as I am prone to do from time to time. I feel as though I've worked on that. I've gotten better at it. I haven't fixed it or solved it by any means totally, but I've made improvements.
The fact that you even said you're rarely wrong is sickening.
I mean,
Like that's what I have to deal with. Like the fact that even I forget the example last week when we were talking with Aaron and Danielle, you were giving an example of something that you were annoyed with or mad about, and they were both like, no, like they both agreed with me. They're like, well, yeah, of course it's like this because I forget do you remember what the example was?
I didn't
When
say
we were
I'm
chatting.
never wrong. I said I'm rarely wrong.
But that's such bullshit. Like you have such a closed-minded view on things because you think this is the way you look at things, this is the way it is. There's no room for any other opinion.
And if you keep an open mind, people will throw garbage in it. I used to have a T-shirt
You
that said
sound
that when I was a
like
kid.
so ridiculous.
You're having three different conversations, so I'm just kind of rolling with
I'm
the
not having
punches right
three
now.
different conversations. I'm starting it out talking about last week.
Okay.
Right? And then I'm talking about having an argument in general. But you're sitting here saying that you cannot, you're rarely wrong. But you have your way of looking at things, and I have no one else to like help me out and back me up.
Who do I have? The dog?
No, because I'm always wrong to you.
No,
Because you're almost always right, you say. So that is why it's difficult to be in a relationship with someone who always thinks they're right.
No. You know how my brain works and how I am wired. And if you disagree with me, I've got all the time in the world for you, as long as you're giving me some sort of evidence or proof. The minute you say you did this and this bad thing happened because of something you did, I will happily admit it and say, you're right. If I didn't do that, I would have done this differently. I should work on that. It's a case-by-case basis. There are plenty of times where I have apologized to you and said, you know what? I shouldn't have said that. That was shitty. That was a cheap shot. That was this, that, and the other thing. I've apologized for those. Usually that's how we get back on track. It starts with Matt apologizing because Matt, whether Matt agrees or does not agree, is always wrong in the mind of some.
Oh, okay.
In the mind of
your
most
mind. No,
logical
your mind.
thinking America.
Keep going.
I'm just waiting because you're still trying to get me to apologize for last week.
I'm
which
not
I didn't...
trying to get you to apologize.
Well, then what are you trying? What are you grilling me on?
I'm just saying in general.
Right, and we've talked about it.
You said I'm rarely wrong.
Okay.
And that's to me is just bullshit. You're rarely wrong.
Okay, are you regularly wrong?
I can be wrong.
I can be wrong too. You're just phrasing what I said differently.
I'm not saying. I would never say I'm rarely wrong because that's such a shitty thing to say. To me, I'm like, ew, to say you're rarely wrong, that's weird. But when we're talking about that, I'm saying how last week we had a conversation with Aaron and Danielle about something just so stupid and silly, like very like ridiculous. I don't even remember what it was. That's why I was asking you if you remember. Because my point is, you always think you're right, and if I disagree with you, I'm wrong no matter what. And then we were talking with Aaron and Daniela about something just silly and stupid, and they both sided with me, and you were like, oh, well, all you guys. But that's how I'm saying we live our relationship, because I don't have anyone to back me up because when we argue, because it's me against you. So no matter what, you always think you're right. So
Who's there to back me up?
You. So no matter what,
Exactly.
it's the facts.
I'm
Like
a one-man army.
To you, you're always right.
I want
and to
facts
me,
and
I'm
logic.
wrong.
No.
But but do you understand where I'm coming from? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like now when we finally take it to someone else like Aaron and Danielle, they were like, oh yeah, like they agreed with me. And you were like, oh, well, screw you guys. And like it was something stupid and silly. And like this isn't even a big deal. But I'm just saying, you don't understand what I'm saying?
I have no idea
How do
where
you
you're
not
going with this
understand what I'm
conversation.
saying? My point is, because I have no one to back me. When we finally get outside opinion, like from our friends, they're like, "Oh yeah, we totally agree with Leah," but it doesn't matter because you still think you're
right. But again,
right.
that it depends. That was like, oh hey, maybe that conversation that they agreed with you was like, which restaurant is better, or
No,
which
it was just
way
an
to do
opinion.
is
I
it
can't remember what it
toilet
was.
paper roll off the front or the back? If they all agree on
No.
things, that's there's a scope, there's a
I get
magnitude to
it.
the argument. When you and I argue and really argue, not like a stupid little disagreement over where we're going to go for dinner. When we argue, it's always about something significant. And when it comes to anything significant, I demand research, facts, evidence, no matter what. I'm sorry. I know you hate that about me. I don't like to live in whimsical what if land. I like to know this is what happened. This is what caused it. This is why it went wrong.
Most of the time,
Let's
you
fix it.
overreact and make things into something that they're not.
Wait, you're having okay. I'm going to stop this conversation now because you're going to just keep adding and changing the subject until I admit fault. So guess what?
I'm not looking for
everybody,
anything else.
everyone that can hear the sound of my voice, if you're driving in your car, if you're walking on a treadmill, if you're riding a bicycle, if you're sitting in your house staring lovingly into the eyes of your partner, Leah, I'm sorry. I don't know what for, but I'm sorry.
You're stupid.
There it was. You got what you needed.
That is not what I'm looking for.
I don't know what you're looking for.
I just am trying to have a conversation about arguing with you because it's very frustrating.
Okay.
That's it. And I'm just like trying to put this out there for the people listening, because I'm sure that there are other couples out there when they have a hard time arguing, or like maybe they fight dirty. I'm just trying to look at like, okay, it's okay to be wrong and it's okay to accept your flaws and know how you fight. And I'm just trying to talk about fighting. That's all. Just trying to talk about arguing, because last week we had a big argument. Just trying to kind of bring it back full circle. We had a lot of good feedback. And I'm just trying to get everyone else's feedback, listening to how we fought last week and then kind of what we're doing now, and just get your intake and get your input and see.
The Russian judges gave it a 9.8.
Cool. Love that. You're such a little jerk. You know that? You just drive me nuts. You piss me off.
I know I do, but I'm not doing anything wrong.
Say you're not doing anything wrong. What? You never do anything wrong.
I would love for anybody listening right now to give me an example, because like anything in life, if you can't identify the problem, you can't fix it. How am I being a jerk?
You're just like, the way you're talking is like a little like jerkish, rather than just being like a nice, sweet man. You're being a little
So instead of letting myself be walked all over and admitting crimes that I did not commit, I'm pleading the fifth.
I just can't stand you. I have a joke for you. Let me just remember it.
Two nuns walked into a bar. The third one ducked.
What was that joke that I had that was really funny?
Clearly, it wasn't that funny.
I can't remember it. Damn it. You know, I'm going to remember this and I'm going to tell you guys next week. So please be waiting on the edges of your seats. I can't remember. I remember the kids loved it. What the was it? It was, can I have a kiss?
Sure, you can have a kiss. Is that your way of apologizing for spending a whole show trying to convince me I'm wrong?
Okay, Pancake loves you. Look at us. Are we not the cutest duo you've ever seen? Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me wanna wag my tail. When it comes, I wanna wail. Pancake loves that song. All right, here we go. Question number 1, honey.
We got anxiety dog.
He's shaking off. All right, question number 1, honey. Hey, Leah and Matt. Leah, the Mailbag song is the best. You should totally drop a remix soon. Okay, okay. This question is for Leah, but would also love your input, Matt. How do you navigate dating when there are a lot of men who are intimidated by your success or what you do for a living? Pre Matt, of course. Quick backstory, I'm an attorney, not actively dating at, and this is one of the reasons why. I usually try not to bring up what I do, but it comes up eventually. The second I say I'm an attorney, these guys get super weird and start acting strange and defensive. It's weird. I know this may just be some men and not all men, but given that you are pretty successful, Leah, how did you previously deal or not deal with that? I know the right one won't get weird about it, but to filter through them all seems like a lot of work, and I'm genuinely starting to prefer being single than to deal with the shenanigans. Thanks for keeping it 100, being open and honest about y'all's relationship. Cool. I love this question. I mean, it is annoying to have to filter through all these men that you're saying like might be intimidated, but you have,
Filter through all those men.
well, that's what
There
it
was
says.
many. No,
No, that's what she said.
I know.
That's what she said. You just have to keep doing you and be you. And it is true. You will eventually find someone that won't be intimidated, but it is very frustrating. And I think, even like talking about our fight last week, like for me, I know what I want to do. I know what I'm trying to do with my career and what I need to do to focus and be diligent and make this happen, be an entrepreneur and a businesswoman and a boss bitch and all of that. Um, but it's about just finding balance. And I think you will find someone, or I know you will find someone that will be okay with that. But I definitely think, especially nowadays, men are so intimidated by women that know what they want and go after it because we're at a point now in society where women don't rely on men for anything. And I think that's important. You should never rely on a man for your happiness. You should never rely on your man for money. You should never rely on a man for anything. You should support yourself. And then anyone that brings that you want to be with is just a bonus. Like I, for a long, long, long time, always relied on my partner for my happiness, and I put all of my happiness into them. And finally got to a point where I realized, like, this. Why am I relying so much on someone to make me happy? I have to make myself happy, and I'm so happy to say I got to a point where I found myself and found what made me happy and found all of that in myself. So anyone else just is an extra bonus. How does it feel from your perspective? Like, what would you say for like to be with a woman who is independent and successful on her own without, you know, your support financially?
I could totally see how that could be intimidating for any guy. I think maybe you should adjust where you're looking. I don't know if that means change the age range you're looking at or whatever it is. Guys are sort of inherently insecure. All of us are, right? And the security comes with what we can offer you. And there's a certain bit, and I hate to say this because I don't mean it to sound negative. There's a bit of power that comes with having someone rely on you. And I think that is appealing to people, especially just, I mean,
Really?
yeah.
That's crazy to hear. I wouldn't.
And I don't think it's so much like a conscious, ooh, she's got to listen to what I say because I'm paying the bill. Not that. It's more of it's a security sort of, okay, well, at least if things go south, she still needs me for something. So being a very
Like
independent,
control.
and I don't think control is the right word because there's not anything, and I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
And I don't know of too many people that are like, oh yeah, I got this woman and she just does whatever I tell her. That's archaic and stupid. And I don't think anybody actually wants that. But I definitely think there's an inherent insecurity to guys and knowing just in the back of your mind that, well, I'm paying for the rent or I'm paying her car bill or whatever. You now have a bigger bargaining chip on your side as a guy when you have that. Whereas women, I mean, there's so many things in the world that women can accomplish that guys can't. You know what I mean? You guys can have babies and you can do all the, there's just like these amazing things that you guys are capable of that you don't need. I mean, you don't need a man by your side for. You know what I mean? If you all of a sudden want to go get knocked up and raise a child on your own, that's totally within your parameters.
Yeah.
But from a guy's perspective, it's like, oh, okay, well, she can do that. I need something anchoring her to me. And it's not necessarily, and I'm sort of speculating because this isn't necessarily how I feel, but there is something to be said from a guy's perspective to be like, oh, okay, well, she needs me, whether that be financially, emotionally. Obviously, everybody wants to be needed, but that little bit of power is very appealing to guys. So, to answer the question in the mailbag, from a female's perspective, that she's obviously a very successful, powerful woman in her own right. You just have to thin the herd. There's no shortage of good guys who pull their own weight and who are happy to. Like I've experienced with you, I can truly say there's a balance in our relationship. Past relationships, there are different dynamics and there's power as it comes to certain aspects. But to you, I almost feel like I need to be on my toes a little more than I usually or historically would have, because it's like, oh yeah, I know you don't need me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it makes me hesitant to really push the envelope too far on a lot of things, just because it's like, oh, well, there's literally nothing stopping you. Like, we don't have children together. We don't have, if you decided tomorrow that you wanted to up and leave, aside from me going, hey, I'm here for you emotionally, I do this and I understand you and I appreciate you for this, that, and the other thing. And the sex is great. But I have to start going like, I can't say, well, what are you going to do? Who's going to pay your phone bill?
Right.
You don't have that anymore. You lose that bargaining chip. And to me, that's what I don't want to say it's appealing to guys, but I think it's just sort of again, an inherent security when you have any semblance of power.
See, and then I know I'm not trying to cut
no,
you
no,
off,
no. I feel like
but
I've repeated myself.
going off of that, like I feel like this could be a whole podcast issue, a topic in and of itself, because to me, I'm like, I feel like that's even more appealing, to be with someone that doesn't need you. To know like, oh, they're only with me because they truly love me and they want to be. And that's like whenever you and I get in fights, I'm like, listen, if I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't, right? Because like I am with you because I want to be with you and because I love you. And there's no other reason. Like it's not like, oh, well, I'm gonna stay because, well, how am I gonna pay my loan on my car, or how am I gonna pay that? Like, and like to me, I just feel like for a guy, that would be even more appealing to know, oh, she's only with me because she truly, genuinely just wants to be.
Right.
Do you know what I
But
mean?
it sounds like what she's having trouble is getting out of the gate, getting around first base to figure out like, oh, hey, this is something that, because guys are going to just be generally.
Well, and if I were her, I would say go find a guy that is successful in and of it in his own right. Like a guy that makes his own money, a guy that has a secure job. Maybe he's a little bit older. And I think finding a guy who's a little bit older, my sister and I were having a conversation today. Men don't fully emotionally mature until they're 42 years old. So no matter what, women are always more mature than men. They just are. And it's since you're a kid, that's what you're taught. Men mature a lot slower than women. So I think maybe finding someone who's a little bit older, someone who's already established in, their life, and they have a bank account and a savings account, and they're doing all of the things. That way you don't have to worry about it, and you don't have to worry about supporting someone. You can just both be successful in your own right and create a life together.
Can I add/ask if it is acceptable to have all these boxes checked, or to make sure that all the boxes are checked first and foremost?
What do you mean?
Like for example, if she were to say, okay, I need a guy who makes X amount of dollars. I'm not saying it's about that, but he has to be financially independent, has to have, his own place, whether it be a house, apartment, whatever. If there are parameters you want to set, I think that's acceptable.
100%.
Okay, that's what I'm asking, because I hate to be the guy that goes, well, sorry, you're broke. You have nothing to offer. It's not
No.
that. It's everything's a case by case
Right.
basis
And
what you're
sometimes you
exposed to.
might meet someone, fall in love, and realize what their situation is, and it's like, well, that's not going to change anything because I genuinely love this person. So things you never know, right? But I was seeing a therapist in my past when I was in another relationship, and I had broken up with this person, and I was still talking to this therapist, and the advice that she gave me, because it was a couples therapist, and she was like, you have to have your hard yeses and hard nos for your next relationship of things no matter what you're not going to bend on, like say it's like a religion that like someone that has the same faith as you or someone that wants to have kids, like you have to have your hard yeses and hard nos so you kind of weed out all of the people that aren't going to work. And I think that was great advice because it's like if so could meet a guy that you think is really great or like so hot or whatever, but like they no matter what they don't want kids, but you do. Well, now you're because now you're going to spend the rest of your time trying to convince them, and you can't try to change someone. You can't think, oh, well,
Right.
eventually he'll change his mind because he'll do it for me. No, honey, he's not going to do it for you. He probably didn't do it in the past. He's not going to do it in the future. You're going to waste your time. So if you have your hard yeses and a hard no's before you start dating someone, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier, I believe.
And I will admit that guys can change. Guys might even be willing to change, but you have to pick and choose your spots, pick and choose your battles, because when you try to change something that somebody feels is fundamental about themselves, it's only going to harbor resentment. So you can
100%.
pick and choose. And to Leah's point, set your goals, set your parameters, look within those. Don't compromise by any means. I'm not by any means suggesting you compromise and go, well, this guy's hideously ugly, but he at least has a job and whatever that may be. Don't handcuff yourself, but also don't expect to change. So good luck. I think that was the longest winded answer to any
Yeah.
question, but it was good.
But I feel like there was a lot in there.
There's a lot of ground to cover there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something we could actually expand on and do like a whole episode on.
Yeah, that was good. I think it's about time we start queuing up another mailbag episode. So I think this would be a great time to remind everybody. If you've done it in the past and we haven't answered, send them again. If you've asked questions in the past and you want another one, send it again. Bear with us pod@gmail.com. Fill the official Bear With Us mailbag. We will try to answer your question right here on this here podcast. And those are fun when we just rifle through 5 or 6 or 7 questions for a day. Those are always my favorite episodes.
And I love when you guys follow up with us when we answer one of your questions and give you some crazy advice, and then you follow up and let us know what happened. Like that to me, I just love that when it comes full circle. So if you've sent in a question, we've answered it on the podcast, write us back, let us know how it went, and let us know how good or terrible our advice was. We'd love to hear from you.
And if our advice sent you down the wrong path, clearly you were mistaken. You just heard it wrong. You misheard what we said. That's not what we meant.
And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can not only listen and watch our episodes as they come out, we've also gone back and we're uploading all of the old videos from the past.
The classics.
Yes.
You know, I didn't realize that last week was our 52nd episode.
That's wild.
Our amazing producer, Emilio, filled us in on that little tidbit. And we've been doing this for over a year now.
Insane.
It's crazy.
It's so insane. Like, it's crazy that you guys are listening and you're following along this journey with us. We had no idea what the we were doing. We still don't. But when we first started, we had no idea where it was going. I mean, I've gotten a little better compared to the first few weeks when Matt would be like making me cry in the studio because I was not listening to him steer the ship right. But we had no idea what we were doing. And we're just so grateful that you guys have come along this journey with us and you're listening, and maybe we're helping one person. That's cool. If not, it helps us. You guys are helping us by listening to us and just giving us feedback. And there's clearly like a chopper or something overhead right now. If y'all
Get
can
to
hear
the
that.
chopper.
Get to the chopper.
Is there anything left in the mailbag today, baby?
I think we covered it.
Okay. I think that was a good one. We'll save the other ones for next week.
Yes.
Keep filling the mailbag. Hopefully we'll answer your questions. Maybe we'll have some reasonable advice, and who knows, you might even laugh once or twice.
Probably not, though. Oh my God, I didn't really sing today. Can we do a little share real quick?
Nope.
If I could turn back time, if I could find a way, I'd take back all the words that I heard here, and you'd say, if I could reach the stars, I'd give them all to you. And you love me like you used to do. That felt great. I like when I have this microphone here because I feel like I'm in like a recording booth and I'm like, check it. Is this thing on? I love rock and roll. Put another dime on the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll. Come on, 6 time and dance with me. Okay. This is why Matt never apologizes because he has to deal with this. Okay. Are we cool? We're good?
We're even.
Awesome.
Goodbye forever.
Bear with us.